Yeah, I'm just protective of myself. We had a block party a couple of years ago.
No one can zoom in. Yeah. No, I just They have the not Michael does. Thank you. The parcel now he's working at Domino's.
No, the only one
Very good.
I made.
It's a process. He's working with therapists, like I'm trying to
Yeah, no, I wasn't actually. That was the rest of
so he should
or did we end up doing this? My comment with regard to that. The problem
This is the balancing. And it's just the problem.
Yeah,
It's not the equipment pushing. We're putting our colleagues on the rental.
there was just one. So anyway,
Lord, thank you for your presence in our community, your guidance in our lives, and the wonders you've brought to our world. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hands here. Wow, good luck. Show all president coming forward.
Mayor, I move the agenda before you minus general business number 6.
Second.
Number 6. Moved to second. Any further additions, subtractions, and deletions?
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion adopted. Fine. So just the comments. This is the time to give Mr. Kennedy.
Oh, heavy on that vegetable, I must be in trouble.
Mayor, as Mike is heading up to the podium, I just want to remind anybody in the audience that would like to speak, we invite you to speak. On the yellow card, give it to myself, and we'll pass it on.
Thank you, Mike Kennedy, resident of Liberty Lake. You know, so much goes on in our daily lives and social media that everybody just loves to get involved with. It sort of drags you down from time to time. So I hadn't been in that for a period of time. I went to a luncheon today that this SNAP organization put on. It was well attended. It was outstanding. And I went home and somebody had said, gee, I ought to look at Facebook, what's been going on. So I got on that. Within 2 or 3 minutes, I was going, oh my God. It just seemed like it was just dragging me down mentally. And every day I try to look at something that kind of gets me up or is kind of comical. All of a sudden at that point, not been in the house for a little while, I looked down and we have a Yorkshire Terrier that weighs a little over 2 pounds. She's long-haired and very fluffy, but very tiny. She's spinning in front of me. I realized she must have told me she's going to have to go out to the bathroom. But you'll notice we have a lot of wind today. So I open up the door and she goes out. There's a little grass area to the left. Our homes are very close together and the wind funnels through there like you can't believe between the 2 houses. She got out there, she's doing her thing, and she starts to come back in. She made a fatal mistake at 2 pounds. She went to the right-hand side, and all of a sudden the wind was hitting her. And you look at there, and I'm looking through the window, and I'm looking at this, and here's this little 2-pound dog. The hair is just straight out, and her eyes are blinking, and I'm looking at this, and I start to chuckle. And in the middle of that, all of a sudden there's a gust of wind. She rolled over, and she's rolling across the grass. The leaves are blowing. I rush out, and I pick her up, and I'm coming back in. My hair, I look like a short Don King. The dog is all fluffed up, and she's batting her eyes. I have leaves on me, and Betty looks at me, and she goes, my God, what happened to you? As I tell her the story, and suddenly Betty and I are just so laughing so hard, we don't even think about anything else that's negative going on in our lives. So that was a great uplifting part. Later on, I have to go to Walgreens to pick up some medicine, and I'm driving through. These are all good, funny stories. Driving through there, and I'm waiting for the car ahead of me. That person pulls ahead and stops at the stop sign, where I can't quite get all the way up to get what I needed, and I realize the lady is suddenly making a telephone call. And I'm sitting here and thinking, well, this is kind of rude. And I'm sort of looking at her, and I'm thinking about this dog, and I'm kind of cheerful, thinking, well, everything is cool. I'm not going to be in a rush. I'm not going to honk my horn. Just then, the gentleman behind me laid on his horn, substantially for a period of time. I suddenly look back, I look forward, her window comes down, her left hand comes out, and a digit went up in the air. And I could take that one of 2 ways, that she was telling me what to do that day, but I chose to take the positive road, and I realized she must know I'm running for city council, and I'm number 1.
Any other comments? Legion.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and City residents. I've only come for one reason today, but I might find other things to speak about. I want the city to know, I hope that it is being recorded so people know they put a face with the issue. I requested public records requests from the City Council, from their government recently in regards to what I believe are potential violations of the Open Public Meetings Act. And why I did that was to encourage our government, and many of you know how much I care deeply for you on this government. But I did it to encourage, to dissuade our public officials from perhaps getting themselves into compromising positions, perhaps compromising positions they knew nothing about. One council member in particular I happened to see after I had submitted the request. And I stated to that council member that I was not going after that member particularly. I wanted that member in particular, however, to recognize that they have a voice and that their voice may indeed be what people are looking to hear, but they may be violating the law. I said that because I have evidence of perhaps that very thing happening. I was encouraged because that individual appeared to encourage me that they were going to look into what they had done. And I also encouraged that individual to perhaps punt it to their government. When in doubt on what you should answer and when you should answer and how you should answer, give it to your nation. And I think many people who signed on to a letter that was sent to many people to read, that was sent throughout our social media, was indeed drawing in other council members who may not realize what they've been drawn into. I say that because as a community activist and as a government wonk, political wonk, my job is not to discourage public comment and participation, but it is to help enlighten not just our citizens but our government on when they're making an error that can put them in harm's way, that can put their city in harm's way. Very serious, a very serious offense that our council members signed up on. So the proof is, when did they know, what did they know, how did they come about that information? There's a particular council member on this council that I am very, very fond of. And I've learned a little bit more than I thought I would ever know, that I would learn about them. And I don't want to say that I want to be the person that holds up the one finger while three more are pointing out me. What I want to say is that our government is going to fail us if our government doesn't know the rules of engagement and how we participate. You folks are not residents. You live in the city that you lead. You lead us. You're our leaders. You just don't happen to be residents. I was disappointed when I saw people confusing themselves with residents so that they could make a public statement, when indeed they could have made a public statement by making it individually, saying what they wanted to say individually. So a couple of things have happened that are in violation of the Open Meetings Act. They are a direct violation. They are perhaps a violation. And when you, I would say Brown Act, but that's California because I'm from California, when you punt things like this, they get punted to the Superior Court. For goodness sakes, I respect all of you. I encourage all of you. I want all of you to be successful. I don't want any of you to be caught up in a lawsuit, in a suit that citizens raise against you, our government, who are our leaders, because of an error that you may or may not have known about. The letter you wrote and signed is indeed a violation of the Open and Public Meetings Act. There is no question about it. There was an error made. I want to think there was an error made. I don't want to believe that you got together on the phone, in a text message, on a call, through the bicycle lane. I want to believe you made an error. I want to believe that you may not have realized what you were signing when you were signing it as a block group of council members. I do respect the one member who abstained from signing it, whether they knew it was going around or whether they thought about it first or whether they realized that they too had come up with a public records problem and they knew, not again. I will never step into that mud hole again. I cannot save you from what superior courts in the state of Washington can do to municipalities and members of governments when you make these errors. I can't save you, but I can try to protect you and help you protect yourselves. I can say to you that I've requested a subsequent Public Records Act. Not something I wanted to do, but if I stand by, silence equals consent. I once told one of my council member friends that I met, and I've recently met the mayor in a different way when I was doing a project. So full disclosure and full transparency, I'm doing a project to help an elderly couple in this community that happened to tell me that someone's coming over to help pull, take apart a dilapidated porch, and who shows up but the mayor. It was a surprise. But it was a pleasant surprise because I would like all of you to show up. I hadn't put out a call to order, but he was there. So I met him in a different way in his community building. I met Shane, who I am very fond of. And he and I have shared conversations, not so much political, but human interest stories. I've met others on the telephone. I've met Chris. And Chris is the object of the reasons, full disclosure, on why I put those public records acts out of there. And I, full disclosure, told her, this was about you, and I'm trying to help you. And everybody who knows me, or who will ever get to know me, or wants to know me, or know more about me, will know she's no joke. She doesn't play around, but she's so open and honest and upfront and transparent and deliberate. But I'm not calculating. I have no axe to grind, no dog in the fight other than you are my government. I want to respect you. I don't want to be the one that pulls the trigger on bad behavior and bad performance, bad government actions. I don't want to be the one. So I've come today, and I didn't want to be the one standing here today doing this. As I said to the person I just left, it happens when I want to bring good things to this community. Wonderful things, things we can do, being successful. What happens to all those dreams when I've got the scarlet letter? Because I approached my government, my leaders, to tell them they have failed to pay attention to their own code of ethics, your own reason why you exist as a government. Don't just sign a document, mean it when you sign it. Be deliberate in your actions. Be steadfast in what you do. And don't let public opinion, you must harness those and keep those to yourself, close to your vest. Don't use social media as a fan club. Don't let it be where you seek your love and affection from your community. Because what you will do will harm you and your government and the people you want to lead. I'm one person, but I'm not the only person who feels this way. I respect all of you. I need all of you to lead my city with the highest of standards, all the time, not some of the time. And when you don't have the answer, don't try to fish it out of a bowl. And don't try to connect with the community by being their buddy and their friend. Be honest and tell them. Don't just tell them, I have a social media platform where only certain people can join. But if you want to be public, you've got to go to the public. What you do must always be public. If I meet you at your home or at the grocery store, that's still in the public. If you come to my home and we're talking one-on-one, that's totally different. But when 2 or more, or 3 or 5 meet, we know 4 or 5 more of you are going to meet later. I've just moved here, but there is a reason. I don't know all of the reason yet. I'm taking up too much time right now. I've taken up our time. Somebody's got to say it. Because I don't want any of you thinking that it won't be until the next election that you can be voted out. Recalls can happen overnight. Forced elections can happen overnight. We don't want that blight on our city. I don't want that stamp. We're not entitled to have that. We want a different government, a good government, a better government, an outstanding government who leads from the front, not from the middle, and not from behind. And maybe it's my military experience that says, if I'm taking these troops, we're going together, we're coming back together. I'm one of your troops. Lead me into the fire because you know you're coming out. Don't take me into somewhere you won't make it out. There's much more that's going to happen tonight. I'm not going to stick around. Because right now, I think I've put too much of a burden for you to think about. But I want you to know, I care deeply for you because you are also citizens. But you can't act like citizens. You're leaders. And even though we're all leaders too, you want different leaders. Chris, please. I say Chris because as a social media component, you take away your position as council member. You delineate and you release stuff that's out there that you want to say that you're passionate about. Have a meeting, please. Let us all come. Let's all talk to you at the same time. Answer our questions at the same time. Open and public. We want to hear what you have to say. We want you to tell us, but we need it to be open and public. say that to you, and now I address you as your title, as your council member status, that you've earned. Be the leader I'm looking for. My votes go to the leaders. Walk away from it. I thank you all. I apologize to anyone I have offended. It is not my intent. What I'm trying to do is make us all better. We look better in the front of the line. This can't just be a premier city because of the buildings. We gotta have premier inside. I'm pleased to know you. I want to meet all of you again. Oh, we've talked a couple times on the telephone. You have encouraged me to do things out of the box thinking. I appreciate and value that. I say Odin because when we spoke on the text, it was you saying, don't say sir. I said, that's just who I am. It's where I come from. Mr. Dunn encouraged me to remember to use council members because that means something. I always use representatives and council members because it does mean something. I've spoken to Mr. Moore. And Councilmember Moore, you encouraged me to move into the city, and it was a good thing. See what you can bring to the table, and I asked you, what more can I learn from you? Where do I go for more information? And I thank you for that. Councilmember Copelson, you encouraged me to keep on doing what I'm doing. As I said to you, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're coming back, because the best thing the city could have done is to take someone who's already been there, who wants to just be a steward for a moment, and fill in for a moment while the citizens decide. Councilmember Severs, I've not said 2 words to you, but every time I see you and I connect with you for a moment, I know you hear me. I know that I'm not just opening my mouth sounding like Charlie Brown. Wah, wah, wah. I get that from you, Councilmember Kaminsky. I respect you as being the only woman on the dais that's going to speak with another voice subsequent. And I want the best for you for 2 reasons, because I deserve it and you deserve it. Mayor Pro Tem Brickner, there's something in the way you smile and in the words you say when you say to the government, this being your government, I'm not going to do anything outside of the conversation I have with you. I'm paraphrasing. You let us know when something's gone wrong. You let us know when we should expect more. You let us know when you're going to do something that empowers us to do more. To the mayor, who I've recently met differently, I thank him for his courage to stand in the same spot I was, a community gadfly who only points fingers on bad behaviors, but he didn't judge me. He worked harder than I've seen anybody work, and he never expected me to say anything other than, you have any more nails? Would you paint over here? Can you hammer right here? We were equals. I've spoken to your fair-haired, brown-haired attorney. We disagreed in a very profound way, but we had the same quest, and that was to educate and inform, to enlighten and to improve, to change what we needed to change if there was a need for change, to accept what we couldn't change if there was no need for change and no reason, and on a level that most city attorneys do not engage in with their constituents, because they're not here for me, they're here for the community and for the government, so that when we fall, they pick us up before we're paying out of the pocket. I've spoken to Ms. Swenson when I sadly had to request documents because she's the official person to go to. I've spoken to Ms. Allen because she's your administrator and she can tell me what's growing over here, what's built over here, what's going to be over here, who you need. I've spoken to your developers, I've spoken to your engineers, I've spoken to your department heads, because guess what? I will not go forward anywhere without educating and informing myself. What good is just being there? No good. I encourage all of you to do the same thing. Social media, fine, it's beautiful, but it harms our community representatives because they're not quite sure yet. We need to change the ethics. We need to change the code. We need to re-sign it because there's been a serious violation. It looks like instead of me going to the Superior Court realm, which I can do, I have done, you need to rewrite your code of ethics. Put in some more teeth. Get a commission on your ethics code. Get a commission that will help you if you make the mistakes and keep you in check. Because when you're no longer on the council, that's what you're going to want from your council. I encourage you. I'm there for you. You're stuck with me. I thank you all for your consideration. Please enjoy your evening. There's no popcorn, but enjoy your evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Not hearing any? There you go. I think we're being recorded tonight, right?
Yeah. Make sure you're live.
What?
As opposed to the alternative.
Well, we put together our city budget. We've got items in front of the council. It's going to be online. It's going to be available to anybody to look through, ask questions of. But my comments tonight are fairly brief. Pumps, pipe, pavement, parks, and people are the focus of the 2008 Liberty Lake budget. 2017 has been a banner year. Long-term debt is under $500,000 and Trailhead is now paid off. Liberty Lake Road and our intersections at Appleway and Country Vista have upgraded and new intuitive lights to move traffic smoothly. The Henry Road interchange continues to move forward. Our electronic messaging sign has been a true hit with the community. Library programs and services continue to be updated. Partnerships with other library organizations continue to grow, and staff is dedicated to collaboration with the community on service priorities. Our partnership with Central Valley School District grows with the inclusion of the new K-2 school in the Creek, and by forging an agreement for shared community services with these new facilities. The Plan Commission has updated our comprehensive plan and development regulations to meet our future needs. The city purchased 23 acres of conservation area overlooking Liberty Lake and has applied for a reimbursement from the state of Washington and Spokane County Conservation Futures Funds. Our commitment of a safe, clean, green community with excellent facilities, service, and infrastructure continues in presenting this 2018 budget. 5 topics of focus and concern are growth and development. Based on current land use designation, we know that Liberty Lake has a capacity to become a city with a population greater than 25,000. The pace of development is driven by the market. But we do know as we grow, we want to maintain the lifestyle, the open spaces, the public services, and safety that we currently enjoy. This will require that we are strategic in our thinking, have a long-term view for land use policies, funding services, business outreach, and retention. Transportation. It's imperative that today we view our transportation needs for tomorrow. Our 2016 transportation study provides an analytical evaluation and recommendations for improvements that allows us to gather more grants for these road infrastructure today and in the future. City plans will require more resources for transportation improvements than they have in the past. Focusing on today's transportation needs, we have been working diligently with WashDOT and other agencies to design, fund, and construct improvements around the Harbor Road Bridge by providing a new northbound lane, a new Henry Road interchange, which provides redundancy in connecting our city and connecting both the slip roads that enhance safety. Street maintenance. What we have and what we build requires maintenance and care. It is important that we fund repairs of our existing streets on a continual basis with dedicated funds from our utility tax. From snow removal and striping to replacing signs, overlaying trails, or repairing drainage structures, this budget includes over $1 million for these activities. Over the last several years, we have utilized funds from APA, stormwater, fees, and utility tax to fund maintenance and operation of our streets, and those funds should be dedicated exclusively for the construction and maintenance of our streets. We must continue the schedule of our neighborhood street repairs and care. The Heights neighborhood streets have completed phase 1 in 2017, and the 2018 budget includes funding for the final 2 phases. We anticipate an overlay project of Mission to Moulter with a prep for Homestead and related streets in 2019. Citizen engagement and messaging boards. The community messaging sign to improve communication and advertising for our community events works. We are working on building another north of I-90 early in 2018. We will be engaging the public with stream council meetings like tonight and aggressive social media outreach staff to meet the needs of how our community demands information. Irrigation systems at Trailhead and Pavilion Park. Irrigation systems at Trailhead Golf Course and Pavilion Park are past their life cycle. This budget includes funding to design and construct system upgrades to the pumps and the main lines in a timely fashion to maintain these green spaces. In summary, the 2018 budget has conservative revenue projections and disciplined expenditures. Our highlights of interest included staffing appropriately our Parks Department as it acquires responsibility for newly completed capital projects while keeping up with the expanding park, golf, and now Liberty Lake and Liberty Creek Elementary School land. Providing an increase in pedestrian crossing and speed controls on Country Vista, Applewood, Harbor, and Mission. Identifying work and benefit efficiencies to maximize cost savings. While we add more responsibility, we are adjusting our compensation fairly for our people and restructuring our benefit package to be less costly to our city. A fully functional street and snow removal department has been created using our own equipment based on other cities' successful models. This 2018 budget revenue is forecast with an inclusion of a 1% growth in our property tax levy and a valuation of growth of our community. 1%. I live in a house that is valued by the assessor of $491,000. My property taxes on 1% will go up $8.31. $8.31. Property taxes for a house of 270, the average valuation of the house. Property taxes will go up under 1%, $5.34. $200,000 house is about $2.75. The cost of a Vente soy latte double cup, no foam, at Starbucks is $5.65. Not a lot to ask as we continue to develop more and better services for our community, taking care of our community in the best way possible, trying to make sure that we don't get into a structural deficit like the county and some of the other cities around here have. The corresponding utility tax dollars grow, and those will be used for growing road infrastructure and new grant funding for capital projects. Building permit revenues and sales tax from local business continue to come in. Our government is proactive in ensuring that we are sustainable now in our revenues as our future costs and expenditures are increasing at approximately 2 to 3% annually. Special thanks to Katie Allen, R.J. Stevenson, Jim Camp, Chief Asmus, and their staff for providing outstanding services to our community. They truly make this city work. Our vision to provide a community of which citizens are proud and a place where businesses can grow and flourish, supported by our mission of community service, will ensure that the city of Liberty Lake remains desirable to all and continues to be Spokane County's premier address. It has been and is a pleasure to serve as your mayor and to present this 2018 budget, and thank you. RJ.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So, as the Mayor has alluded, in front of you is the 2018 budget binder. This is online as well, so community can download it now. This is online at about 5 o'clock tonight. Available for everyone. Also in front of you tonight, I also provided the third quarter report, which will be also online for citizens to view tomorrow as well. So just going to go over some high-level things that the Mayor already touched on that's in the budget. You, as of October 17th, you have it in front of you. We don't need a decision to finalize this budget until the second week in December, second meeting in December. I also emailed tonight the MBQ formats to you. Those we would like to have in by November 30th, sooner the better. As you're going through, you see questions, you can either email me or use the form to complete those. The first read is scheduled for December 5th, the second read of the budget ordinance December 19th. So what's new in this 2018 budget? So what I choose for, or what I like to use this presentation for is kind of a quick reference guide. So when you're trying to find some of these information directly in the budget, you have a page to reference them to. So new in the budget this year is the organizational chart has been revamped. Last year we had a list of names associated with it in there. We are a growing city and that name list was just too much to manage. So we changed it to be more of a functional budget. So when you look at that page, you will see what the function of that department does. So for instance, the biggest change you'll see on there is Parks and Recreation is now Operation and Maintenance. And under Operation and Maintenance, you'll have Parks and Streets, and Stormwater and APA, and Snow and Ice Removal, and Facilities, and Fleet. Then you'll also see the functions that come from the other departments on there. For instance, administration, you'll have insurance, and IT, city clerk, city treasurer, financial operations. As the Mayor alluded to, also streets operations has expanded. So we used to contract out for de-icing, snow removal in last year's budget. This year we're bringing literally almost everything in-house. We're doing de-icing in-house with a new truck coming. We are renting equipment this year and hiring contractors to move the snow for us on the snow removal side, which is part of tonight. Tonight we'll be voting on those particular pieces of equipment and the contractor to run that equipment for this year. Also new into this budget is city engagement, and I can let Katie Allen expand a little bit more on that. It's on page 39 in the executive budget.
So we know as we grow as a city, one of our challenges is getting the word out and being very responsive and understanding community questions, information about activities, public events, celebrations, and all those things. And I'm not a media expert, but I do know that just posting things in the legal section of the newspaper does not generate a big following. So what we're trying to do is get professional advice on how we can do a better job informing our community, providing them with information so they know what's going on, they know who to call when they have questions. And so myself and Chief Gaskins sat down with an individual Monday this week. We're going to get a proposal. What we have in this budget is funding for a professional to come in and help us develop a communication plan that will include social media of how the city can do a better job there, opportunities for press releases, opportunities for, let's say a council member wants something very specific or the mayor wants something very specific, a way to get the word out. Like I said, I'm not an expert in this, but I think our citizens will be better served because we have professional advice as to how to communicate more effectively than what we're currently doing. So I think it's not one thing, it's going to be many things. And in conversation with the consultant this week, our goal is that before you approve a contract, because it wouldn't be until next year's budget, she would actually come here, talk with you and get your input on what should be included in that plan. Because we are a very diverse city. We're a city of single people, married people, young families, older families, retired people, young people, and I don't think that one media strategy would work. I think we need multiple media sources. So on that note, we hope to engage a professional to help us, and we hope that you would provide them with some feedback as well. We may need, so our plan was to bring them back to the council meeting before the end of the year. So I think, RJ, if I'm not mistaken, we put $20,000 into this line item. I don't know how much it's going to be. I think it will be less than that, but we didn't know exactly. So it was a guesstimate as to how much funding we put in there.
So as you specifically go through the budget, you look at the line items, there's a specific line item that has $20,000 professional services for this engagement on the side. The other change in here is changes to the current health plan. So the current health plan that the employees around the city, which is Health First with AWC, is expiring at the end of this year. So January 1, there's a new health plan still with the trust, but it's a high deductible health plan. And there's some reductions in benefit costs that come along with that. But there's also this concept of a medical reimbursement fund. So when you're going through this budget, you're going to go through departments and you should see reduction in most departments that are not expanding. So you'll see a negative percentage in that as well. So in there. And then there's a new fund at the back called the medical reimbursement fund. And this is what we refer to as the bridge. So it's almost got a self-insurance on the portion that we're saving on going to the high deductible health plan. The other thing I did not mention on here, but on the salary schedule, we went through a review on employee salaries and comparing with east cities and west cities. And in there are 5 proposed adjustments on the salary schedule, and that's on page 26 of the budget. So what is also new? So this budget includes $6 million of capital improvement projects. There's a chart on page 34 that encompasses all funds on there. So $2.5 million of that is Orchard Park. Another almost $1.7 million, I believe, is the Appleway signalization and the Harvard Road Bridge deck improvements. So Orchard Park is page 72, Appleway signalization and the Harvard Road Bridge deck are on page 70. So those are the major portions that are in this capital project, and both of those do have reimbursements from either a grant when it comes to the 2 transportation projects. Orchard Park, we're looking for reimbursement from LIFT, and if it's successful, we'll get a $500,000 grant from RCO, and we should find that sometime early in 2018. The other items that are in there is what the mayor referred to as a heights overlay. We're looking at phase 2 and 3, and that's about $300,000. The North Sports Field, if you remember, a few council meetings ago, we brought back some options, and from there we took the one that was, I believe, letter E, that had just developed it into a sports field with nothing else on there. And that's $680,000 into this budget that comes from the general fund. The other item on there we've mentioned is a land purchase and the site preparation for an area out on Henry Road for future equipment facility storage. And that's on page 53. Pavilion Park irrigation's on page 53, and then we have the pedestrian safety, which is the streets department on page 58. So it's a busy year. This doesn't get into what's not in the budget yet. So the mayor alluded to the trailhead and the irrigation. and we have the driving range fencing. These are the things that are not in the budget yet, because we really need to have a larger discussion with council. These are large ticket items that to put in a budget wouldn't give us really, let's say the numbers look really, really bad to start off with. We want to have a discussion with you what each of these means at a future council meeting here soon. The other thing is the Harvard Road Bridge widening. We do have a consultant coming for a presentation on November 7th at open house number 8. I don't think he would like to elaborate on that.
Yeah, actually Andrew's managing it very well, but we're really excited. We have not seen the submittals yet. But November 7th, that's our next council meeting. The consultant's going to come and show you options, the cost of those options, some advantages and disadvantages of the different options. And then on the following night, he's going to have an open house here at City Hall, and we'll invite the entire community so they can understand the complexity of it. There's not one way to move forward. There's multiple ways to move forward. And so I'm anxious to see what the recommendations are going to be. So again, that's November 7th and November 8th.
One thing we did talk in finance tonight is we are getting estimates coming in next for the trailhead items when it comes to the driving range, when it comes to the irrigation, and we'll have those available to everyone soon and to bring that back for discussion.
And then along those lines, RJ, just a point is once we get those, once we know what the cost of the driving range fencing replacement is and irrigation, we would like to put them into this budget if possible. So that would be probably a recommendation before you actually go on the budget. But currently they're not in there.
Correct. Before we go on to the next slide, any questions to this point? So property tax. So this budget includes a 1% increase, which is about an estimate of $23,000, almost $24,000. The county assessor's office has been late this year in giving me all the information that I need to project levy rate out. So when I get that, I might have to modify that number a little bit. They're short-staffed at this point, so they're running a little bit later than we're accustomed to. The property tax revenue that we receive, which in the budget this year is about $2.13 million. It goes to cover the library for an ordinance, and then the rest of it, and there's a graph on page 35 that does the bucket that symbolizes it going to police. And the idea of that is property tax, the police is probably one of our more primary services, and the property taxes are our most stable revenue to associate with that. Our current levy rate is $1.69 per thousand. We're projecting that estimate and waiting for numbers from the county to probably come out about $1.66 per thousand. It may be less, but that depends on what the final numbers are with our assessed valuation. And just so you know, when you do get your property tax bill, of that total bill, only 12.5% of that actually comes to the city. The rest of it goes to different jurisdictions, school, fire, state, and different areas. And the next slide.
RJ, real quick, the 166 is with the 1%, correct?
Yes. So it'd be 165.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
So this one is a comparison right now of 2017. I don't have 2018's numbers yet. What this top line here shows what is in the city's control. What that means is that a city, you have a choice. You could be part of the county library system or have your or roll up in here. And as we compare with the other cities, we're the lowest one in this group. So the difference, but when you get down to the bottom line, so Cheney and Airlie Heights are unique in the sense that they, Cheney operates their own fire department within this number. They do some EMS levies here. And then Airway Heights has a unique arrangement when it comes to the casino out there and how they deliver service as well. Cheney also has their own utilities. And they operate their own electricity, water, sewer, and all that. So they have different utility rates higher than what we can charge for some of that. So there's another reason why Cheney and Airway Heights are lower on this list. But compared to the other jurisdictions, we still come in lower than the other cities around us. So Millwood tends to be high because of their school system. They need the extra money to fund their schools. Extra bond levy capacity. You can see Millwood's up here at around $4. That's pretty high. So any questions? on this. This number definitely will change in 18 with the decision of the third school on this guy here. And then it changes again in 19, goes in the exactly opposite direction. So this is just to highlight some of the levy rates that come through. We'll see this in a document when it comes from the county. Our statutory limit is almost $2.9 million. That's how much we could statutory levy if we were $2.10 per thousand, if we were at our highest levy. Our highest lawful levy, and the difference between a statutory levy rate, highest lawful levy rate is when you set your statutory rate, when you grow bigger in assessed valuation, your levy rate kind of starts dropping down and you don't necessarily need it. This highest lawful rate is the bank capacity that we've been putting in each and every year, You could go to this amount if you wanted to use your bank capacity. That's what the highest lawful levy is. If you wanted to go to this statutory levy rate, you would need to take it to a board of people. So consider this as when we talk about banking capacity, this is what your bank capacity is and you can access that. Our levy limit in 2017 is this $2.2 million, which comes out to the $1.69 per thousand. Sorry I had to share that information. That's total finance nerd thing for me. This last slide, what I want to show is what our banking has done over the years. I go back to 2012 to 2011, we used our bank capacity during that financial year. So 2012 was a good benchmark year. We didn't do a 1% increase, and so the bank capacity was $19,199. And then every year that we don't use the capacity, this number generates, it's larger and larger here. And so if you were to look, by not taking the capacity, or the 1% each year, this is a number that we did not bring into the city. So you can look at that two ways. This is revenue that the city could have had in place, or you can look at also the other side of the coin is this is how much we didn't tax individuals. Does this graph make sense? Because I used a chart last year and I put it in a graph this year.
I thought we raised it last year.
You did.
Okay.
1%.
Oh, I'm a year behind.
Yeah, 2016 we did, 2015 we did, and 3 years we did. So out of the last 6 years, we raised it twice. Yes.
Where the 400,000, where would that put us on our levy rate now? If we had kept going forward, and again, one more time this year, where would we be? Any idea?
We would be $1.76. So if you look at the nexus between these two numbers, it's about that number right there. Any other questions about this? So we had our first read through.
Yes, I have a question. Last year, I was one of the individuals that voted against the 1% tax increase. There were two of us on council who voted against it. And part of my rationale was that we had an excess budget income of over $900,000. It was hard for me to justify in my mind that there was a need for the tax increase when we had a $900,000 surplus, budget surplus of revenues. I wonder, where are we this year? Where do you project our increase is going to be? We're going to have a budget surplus this year, and if so, how much?
So we passed the budget last year. We didn't. The budget did have us spending on capital items, so we were actually projecting our budget to go down. But we budget conservatively through the year. So if what we're projecting to come out at, revenue-wise for 17, is going to come out close to balance of what we actually appropriated for 17. So almost net neutral once we get everything in.
Okay, and Could you explain to me what is the need for the 1% increase?
The need is to keep up with, I said, so our expenditures, operating expenditures, so our day-to-day operations are they're increasing 2, 3, 4% a year. Probably closer to 3. Property tax can only go by 1%, and what we, with sales tax and building permit revenue doing so well, it makes it seem like we have enough in after revenue. But those sales tax numbers and those building permit revenue numbers come from more of a one-time revenue source. Your sales tax is coming in from autos and RVs, and they're coming in from construction. And then the building permit revenues are coming from buildings being built once. Now, if that continues and keeps continuing, yeah, that's great, but we'll fall behind when the revenues drop, and then we're going to be looking for another revenue source, or we're going to be looking for a need revenue source, and we're going to look to what's in our toolbox. And the property tax is going to be one of those. So if we're banking this capacity or not using it, and we turn around and say, okay, now we need to tap into it, it's usually at a time where people can't handle being taxed, or they're looking to how can you tax me now when everything's falling down, whether lost job, economy, everything's falling apart. So then the question is, why don't you reduce services? So usually when you have a recession happening, that's when services either maintain or should increase. You don't want to lose more PD services. Maybe we can go back on our parks or something like that, but you're looking what level of service do you want to maintain, and then you need the revenue sources to pay for it. That's why I would just...
I understand that. But I think Amanda reported that she had met her budget like in 6 months, and that was $300,000.
Yeah.
And if that, on building permits, and if that reaches $600,000, shouldn't we have in excess of $300,000 from building permits?
So we're going to budget, we're going to finish up with probably about twice the budget, it's probably $450,000 in building permits this year. We're probably going to come over close to $500,000 more than our sales tax than what we projected. We also projected spending about $1 million in capital out of the general fund for 2017 as well. So whatever we have, and that was exceeding what our operating revenues were for last year. This budget will say the same thing. In 2018, when you look at the operating revenue and the operating expenditure that comes in, we're going to be we're projecting an operating revenue budget of about $6.5 million. That's day-to-day sales tax, property tax, utility tax, all the other taxes, services that would come in. That doesn't include REIT or stormwater or golf or anything like that. That's just that. Our total expenditures that we're having in this budget is 7.6, so your nexus already is $1.1 million. If I take out the North Field, if I take out the North Field, I take out the Heights overlay, if I take out certain things, then your operating revenues exceed your operating expenses by like $60,000. So if we get excess revenue coming in, like we did this year from sales tax and building permits, that excess revenue in a sense is helping us maintain that $4 million general fund balance that we have, just to come in closer or better than budget.
Thank you. The only other question I have is, one of our discussions in the Community Development Committee meeting was about replacement reserves. You know, businesses have depreciation that generates cash in order to replace worn out and depleted assets. We don't have that in city government. The only thing we have is the cash. And one way to cover those things, depleted assets, is through establishing reserves. Have we ever discussed or thought about establishing replacement reserves for certain assets the city owns?
So we have a building contingency fund now. We've established that handles anything that has emergency items come on there. We do have a police vehicle rotation plan that fits within our current operating budget. we can establish more reserve funds to take care of depleting assets, yes.
Very good, thank you.
RJ, I think, first, in the preparation of the budget looks great. It has great reporting of actuals, 2015, 2016, adopted 2017. Is it possible for, maybe even selectively, to get estimate completed 2017, estimate actuals?
So we did talk about that in finance, and I tried. One of the problems I had is projecting not everything's following the same queue. What I was running into was data that got, I'm going to call it corrupt, but I couldn't project easily enough because we had that open period in January. So I'm not taking like one way to do it is I got 9 months of the budget and I just factor it out for 12 months. There were too many things that were just getting in the way for me to accomplish that. What I do have in the back of your budget binders this time is a 5-week comparison. And what it will show is 14, 15, 16, and 17 actuals we're at through September to date. And I'll update that one in October so you can compare at least trend-wise how we trend from other years. And that's it's a line item detail report in the back of the budgets.
Great. Because I think, alluding to, for example, the permitting actions, that we are outperforming the budget. And I'm assuming that in the budget prep process, you guys are sharpening the stick and making the budgets, keeping them back as possible in terms of projecting that. But yeah, comparing actuals to adopted is what I want to look at. Thanks.
It's actually the last slide. But
Committee met tonight, and I'm myself, RJ, and our guest, Mike Kennedy. Oh, sorry, thank you. I thought I already said your name. We went over the results of the 2016 audit. Sounds like there were a lot of compliments to Anne Marie and her performance and the ease of which that she makes the audits happen every year. Sounds like they really enjoy working with her, and she brings everything well prepared and just easy to get through the audit. There are a couple of exit items. One of note, again, no findings as I reported at the last meeting, had to do with an on-call contract. It sounds like the end result was okay. There were just a couple check boxes that didn't get hit really, I guess is how best to describe it with regards to a line item. And it sounds like the staff is correcting this with some additional administrative changes to get some assistance with making sure those appropriate boxes are checked and going through with some of these line items and some bigger on-call contracts. Third quarter report, as RJ said, will be in your mailboxes. I think he already said as well, sales tax revenue is up about $300,000 for the year versus the same period last year. 2018 budget, again, didn't really go into a lot of detail. You've got the budget in front of you. No need to really go into any detail on that. We will be looking at a budget amendment with regards to the snow and the ice and all the equipment we're looking at. So that will be coming forward to us. We do have a bunch of contracts to look at tonight with regards to that. We did discuss the plans, Katie and Andrew, maybe Shane can talk to you guys a little bit later about making sure that the labor that PO is sending to run the equipment and plow the streets, they're fully prepped and familiar with our streets. So I think that's one of the things we ran into last year pretty late. So I think we're just curious to know what the plan is with maybe doing a dry run or having somebody run with them the first couple times. So if you guys want to get into either tonight or at another meeting, just so we can better understand what the plan is, that'd be great. And we reviewed vouchers, a couple big ones in there, but nothing that was a surprise.
Stephen, you're directed to put a council member on back on every plow.
I can do that.
Have fun.
Dress warm.
Dress warm. Any other reports? Here you will go on, Kate.
Okay, I think I'm going to have my report up on the screen for the audience, and so I'll go and get started. So as a reminder, we are video recording the council meeting. It is live, and so it's at www.youtube.com, and you can register, and I think you can get alerts when it's being posted, so hopefully it's very easy to, and other people are using it, so I wanted to move on from that. So number 2, you know, we are a growing city, and I wanted to mention Fall Leaf Pickup this year. Jen and her crew are actually partnering with River Lake Sewer and Water District. This is a really wonderful amenity for our community, and this year, Saturday, November 11th, it's actually Veterans Day, they will be doing south of I-90, so if you live inside River Lake, south of I-90, I think our crews and also the Water District crews will be picking up leaves in the bag on your street. Our crews go around and pick it up. What's new this year is Monday, November 13th, Jed's crews are going to go north of I-90, the River District, the Bitterroot area, pick up leaves for the very first time over on the north side of I-90 as well. So hopefully we'll put up some aid boards over there so people know. We'll do our best to get the word out on Facebook and the like, but I think that it's in a growing city. So number 3, about 2 weeks ago, a number of us met with Senator Patton, some legislators, DOT. Joining us was also our police chief, our fire chief, the mayor, myself, Ben Small, and some mayors and staff from the Valley. Really a great meeting to share with them some of our transportation challenges here in Liberty Lake. And I think the takeaway for me, after having a conversation with Ben Small and the Valley, is we really need to look at that from Barker to Harvard Road and put together a comprehensive plan, because our traffic is their traffic and vice versa. So I think the partnership in this is very strong, and I think what's very important is that our legislators will be in Olympia speaking knowledgeably in advocation of our transportation needs here in Liberty Lake. Number 4 is related to AWC's priorities. A number of our council members, Councilmember Severs, Kaminskis, Mayor Pro Tem Brickner, and Councilmember Dunn, myself and the mayor were at AWC training session, I'll call it, last week. And coming out of that was a desire by some of the council members for the mayor and council and all council to sign a letter of opposition to homegrown marijuana legislation. It's a little more complicated than that. Mayor Pro Tem Brickner, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so one of the things that the state is looking at, which I think we should all be viewing and reach out to your state about, is they are looking at allowing every resident to grow up to 4 marijuana plants within their resident. That's something that I think that the police department would be concerned about, trying to enforce, and how we can even control that as a police department, and the resources it would take for that, and the potential of people growing more than that and selling it. So it's something that became very alarming at the AWC to the rest of the group, as well as law enforcement as a whole.
So we're going to, on that note, we're going to pass around a letter, and it has all of your names on it. So if you'd like to send this, then we'll mail it to the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board. So if you want to take a minute and read it, we can get you copies after you sign it. Moving along, we've already mentioned the Harvard Road widening. So there's kind of 2 Harvard Road projects. Just remember there's the decking part of it. We're really serious in needing to resurface the deck. And then also is the widening. So this presentation on our next council meeting, November 7th, will be on the widening portion of it, and then followed by the open house, which I already spoke to. Moving down, City Hall will be closed Friday, November 10th, in honor of Veterans Day. And so we will be closed on that day, and the library will be closed as well. And then the North Field is what we've kind of internally, if you guys want to give it another name, we're open to that. But the North Field is the field north of Liberty Creek Elementary. Mayor Pro Tem Brickner received a comment from a resident, so he asked that I put this on my report, and I'll ask him to speak to that.
Yeah, essentially a resident had an idea about that property that he had seen in other facilities, and Katie, you can forward that on to the rest of the council, that'd be great. And I expressed to this individual that I would forward the information to Katie so she could take a look at it. But what it was outside community garden, if you will, farming, to where we can grow things and donate them to people in need. So it was just an idea that they had that we can take into consideration with that Northfield if we want to do something like that. So
I had a brief conversation with ideas out there. For purposes of the budget, we just put some money in there, but I think we could further develop and get community input as to what and how that field actually develops. We are getting, just so the council knows, I don't know how many, but periodically we do get complaints from residents that live in that general area because of the weeds and the unimprovement of the field. So I just wanted, so we do have money in the budget for it. What it actually becomes could be discussed further. And then finally, snow. So we're hoping it doesn't snow this year, but I'm probably not a betting person, but if I was, I kind of would bet that would be the case. So as has been mentioned before, there's a lot of equipment, a lot of rentals, snow plow purchases, as well as contractors to operate. So there's a couple things. We're actually meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to start this conversation about notification alerts, so we're working on that. And did we get the map up on the board? So we're working on this. It's not fully complete, but we want everybody in the city to know what zone you live in. And then once you know what zone you live in, when we start plowing, it's kind of hard to see. Then we will notify people by what zone that, hey, we're going to be plowing tonight in zone 1 or zone 2 or zone 3 or zone 4. So this is still a work in progress. It also identifies all those yellow dots are where we de-ice, and all the red lines are arterials. So de-icing, of course, happens on the arterials, the de-icing at those intersections that are shown in yellow. If you notice the steep road up to Legacy, it'd be just north of the gate. That's a very steep area, so we do de-ice that area. So this is kind of the workings that go in to our effort to keep our community informed as to when we de-ice, and then when we're going to be plowing, and when to expect that. So it will be on our website, it will be on our Facebook page, and then we want to have, like I mentioned, alerts so individuals can register to be alerted when and if we do have to plow neighborhoods. The other thing I'll mention is we do not plow private roads. So if you see a lot of neighborhoods that aren't colored, that is because they are private roads, and we do not plow private roads. Those are the responsibility of the HOA. So there's a number of them in town. Councilor Severs?
I was having a hard time when I was looking at this map before our meeting. What's the difference between purple and blue?
Just the zone.
It's residential. So there's really, purple and blue are all the same thing.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll probably go with 5 different colors, but yeah, the zone is the colors.
2 different colors and blue.
Yeah, I think we have blue, pink, purple. Yeah, there's no difference. Those are residential neighborhoods that get plowed. Generally, the accumulation is in that 3 to 4 inch range is when we would start plowing those areas. So, Stephen, is there anything else that you want to add, or do you have any questions about? We know that when snow happens, our phones start ringing and people want to know what to expect, and so we're going to do our best to try to get the information out.
Like you said, Kate, we're meeting tomorrow morning and we can start discussing this, how we're going to approach citizens and how we can deal with comments and notify them in a timely fashion when we'll be in the neighborhoods. I am going to draft up a letter after we get this all done. A reminder to citizens, snow is approaching, vehicles, trash cans, things like that are going to be obstacles for us. Keep them in driveways. We will work with trash day, but after trash day, please get them out of the road. Little reminders to start getting them going and thinking of the winter.
And then the other, I think a significant difference is the equipment that's going to be used for plowing. The equipment that is on your agenda tonight that Stephen has identified is municipal grade heavy equipment, not trucks and plows, which we had last year. So we hope to be much more efficient than before.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the hard work that you guys and the staff put into this. And I think it's really going to benefit the city in the long run that we have some control on our snow plowing. And I did bring up the finance. I look forward to the cooperation with the group that's coming in to really educate them well on our city. Because we know in the past we've had some challenges, especially in the beginning of the season, on de-icing, snow removal, things like that. So I look forward to your guys' leadership on that.
Thank you, and we will have much better control of our de-icing this year.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yes.
Mayor, that concludes my report.
Mr. Agnew,
Yes, sir.
you want to talk about the Liver Lake Sewer and Water District for a minute? Because we're kind of in that realm of, we'd love to hear about what you're doing over there. Since you forced you to sing for your supper, Tom, so.
Mayor, council members, fellow citizens, I love to talk about the Liver Lake Sewer and Water District. It's a long story. It all began in 1972. Seriously, we have this time of year the pleasure of having the construction season wind down and the task of preparing for the winter and snow which will be coming, and the freezing which is threat to our pumps and pipes, as you can imagine. But our biggest accomplishment since the beginning of the sewer district is about to be completed, and that's this phase 2, as we call it, of the water reclamation facility. So this is quite an undertaking. It employs what used to be General Electric, the portion of General Electric that makes the MBRs, as they're called, microfiltration tubes, is now called Suez. But at any rate, this filtration process added to our existing biological process takes out approximately, and I say approximately because decimal points are really important at this point, 99% of the phosphorus that used to be delivered to the system. So they're really remarkable systems. It'll take a while to get it tuned up and running correctly. They expect that it will come online literally any day, and it may take months or a year to get it tuned up to optimize its effectiveness. And we look forward to having those of you who care to join us and can join us sometime in the spring when we will have a formal grand opening, if you will. Aside from that, it's pretty much business as usual, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them or refer you to someone who can.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Where does that put us in line with the other people who use the system, or with the 99%? Are we in the ballpark there, ahead of the curve? How are we doing with the government?
Well, we will, the development that we're completing is a requirement of the, I'm trying to not use the lingo because I don't even understand, it's called a TMDL, Total Maximum Daily Load Study of the river, which determined that the river was receiving excess phosphorus. Now, there are a number of things we've done in addition to phase 2, because phase 1 of the plant was the first step towards addressing this problem. But we will, and of course, we're anticipating that we will, with this new system, be able to beat our permitted limit for phosphorus, which is a pretty amazing accomplishment. What you have, whether it's phosphorus or anything else, is you have an initial filtration that will take 60 to 80%. And then you have a secondary filtration that works on that remaining 10 to 20%. And now we're working on the most expensive and the most difficult percent, which is the last 4 or 5%. It's mind-boggling, and for we lay people, it defies really logic and understanding, quite frankly. But you don't have much choice. Your permit requires it. The laws make it incumbent upon you to cooperate. Unfortunately, due to personnel and community support, we remain pretty darn successful.
I was just going to observe, Tom, I'm really grateful for collaboration over the fall leaf pickup. It's great for everybody here in the city and everybody, and it's great for the water system. Thanks.
Well, and I agree, and I'm grateful for the city's collaboration as well. It's been a good effort, and sometimes I look at all the deciduous trees that we're adding, and I think, my goodness, this is a good job for our kids and grandkids.
So I heard that Steve Skipworth is going to be moving on.
Yes, he is.
And if someone, because we're being televised here, if someone in the community was interested in becoming a commissioner, what would be the process?
Well, we anticipate that there will be something in the splash that helps explain it. I would encourage anyone to call the district and ask for Y.J. Adams, or they're welcome to call me. We will accept applications, which is relatively informal, because there aren't any clear, believe me, as a commissioner, I can tell you, there aren't any clear requirements to become a commissioner. And then the remaining two of us on the board, will be asked to select one from the applicants, and we anticipate doing that sometime in the next 90 days or less. Yes, last night was Commissioner Skipworth's last board meeting.
He's a good, very good commissioner.
Great ally. He'll be greatly missed, I mean, not only by the board, but by the community. He's just a real treasure.
Very well respected in the state when we went to Lincoln last year, or this year, I guess, he was outstanding. So, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, board action items, consent agenda.
Mayor, I move action item consent agenda 1 and 2 to approve October 3rd, 2007 City Council minutes, and to approve October 17th, 2017 vouchers in the amount of $715,553.29.
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Mayor, I move general business number 1, to authorize the mayor to sign the donation agreement for the city to proceed with acquiring the Orchard Park land.
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? None hearing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there you go.
Mayor, I move general business number 2, to approve rental agreement with CAT for Greater and Wayne.
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? None hearing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There you go.
I move general business number 3, to approve rental agreement with United Rental for 2 loaders.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? None hearing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there you go.
Mayor, I move general business number 4, to approve snow removal agreement with Po Asphalt for labor services.
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion?
I got just a quick question. It's probably just something that's normally in the contracts. In section 4, references tying in materials, and the materials portion of that kind of threw me off because they're using our equipment and our materials, I thought. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something in there that I was misunderstanding.
No, that's just it's a common phrase when you're talking about that type of contract and those types of charges, but they are only being contracted for labor.
Thank you.
Further discussion? None hearing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there you go.
Mayor, I move general business number 5, to approve purchase for 2 plows from the state contract.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion? None hearing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there you go. We're to 6 off, right? So now the public hearing. This is civil rights preliminary 2018 budget, which includes the proposed 1% property tax increase. So the public hearing is now open at 8:23. Any comments? Please go to the front. Questions? Discussion? Not everybody race up there. Because if you don't show up, nobody's comments, so we're going to close it at 8:24. Okay? But there's always another chance, so watch your mail. First ordinance reading, and
City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington, ordinance number 246. An ordinance of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington, levying the regular property taxes for the City of Liberty Lake, Washington, in Spokane County for the year commencing January 1, 2018, to provide revenue for the provision of city services as set forth in the city budget.
and we're at the second read ordinance number 241A.
Ordinance number 241A, City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington. An ordinance of the City of Liberty Lake, Washington, adopting requirements for control of public rights-of-way activity within the City of Liberty Lake.
Mayor, move ordinance number 246. Sorry, 241A, sorry.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
I just have an observation. Regarding public rights of way and the controls of public rights of way, I recognize now the relevance and importance of the action as I was introduced and originated the AWC Regional Conference to an objective of mobile communications companies to introduce through state law obligation to performance for what's called small cell network deployment. We're all familiar with 350, 450-foot towers that mobile phone companies erect for the purpose of mobile communication. But a future technology lies in small, kind of annoying-looking antennas that mobile phone companies with names like Verizon and AT&T have been lobbying heavily in Olympia in order to create state laws which obligate communities to force the placements of, or to allow the placements without impairment. And so I have real respect for our ability as a community to be able to establish what we think is the right thing in public rights of ways on things like utility poles. So I value the utility of this ordinance, and I also respect action in Olympia to control that. Thanks.
Further discussion? Citizen comments? Anyone wants to comment on ordinance number 241A? Going about as well as a public hearing. No comments. Without further discussion, we'll take the vote. All in favor of 241A, raise your right hand. I count 7, is that correct? There is no opposition, so it's adopted. Ordinance number 245, Pam.
Ordinance number 245, City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington. An ordinance of the City of Liberty Lake, Spokane County, Washington, creating a Parks and Parks Commission, establishing duties thereof, and repealing any ordinance in conflict.
Mayor, move ordinance number 245.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance 245A is the establishment of a twofold functioning commission, I think, Parks and Public Arts. And it also repeals an action of our city, ordinance number 163, the establishment of a Public Art Commission. What I wanted to observe coincidentally is ordinance 163 signed 10 years and 2 days ago. 2007, October, establishing a commission for the purpose of presenting public art in our community. And the tough thing I'm looking at is I can't think of a public art installation in our community that's city-sponsored. Yeah, there's a couple but I guess I'm thinking carefully about, a public arts commission for the regular meeting or establishment of the public arts commission, or how council has been asked to approve or recognize the appointments to a public art commission. I don't think a lot's happened. And I struggle with that. I've reviewed that ordinance several times before. And the best I can kind of manage why there hasn't been a lot of action to that commission is that it hasn't been represented in a budget. That we create a commission, but we give them a charge to go have meetings and take minutes and give recommendations and advise. And there's no budget. And so I look carefully at 245, which has an important and exciting premise. It has to do with our parks. That's one, every quality of life service for the community talks about the value of trails, parks, and open space for us. But I don't see any reference specifically to spending. And I guess I'm going to be totally going through our budget to hopefully understand how the Parks Commission is represented. I think that's important. I don't want 10 years from now us to look at 245 and say what happened. So that's my observation.
Jen and I flipped a coin and I lost, so. This is a great question. There is $50,000 in this budget for the Parks and Art Commission. Part of that is our fireworks, part of that is our Barefoot in the Park. And so there is money in this budget, and what we're looking from the Parks and Arts Commission is recommendations on how to spend the money. So from events to public art and so on and so forth. It looks like RJ's helping a little bit.
There is in the parks budget, if you look on page 55, there's a line item, and it's really small, but it does say it's $50,000. And the reference we make is the Parks Board to assist in the spending discretion. And really the anticipation would be for the 19 budget is that actually would be acting as a commission that would be making recommendations to you about what their budget would be for 19, if that makes sense. So we're kind of reverse how we would do it normally, but this is to get them started. And we do have some stuff already kind of pigeonholed to advise them when it comes to the Barefoot Park and the fireworks, but we also threw probably extra $15,000 from other discretionary money for them to make recommendations. Does that make sense?
We were asked during the Finance Committee to bring up an edit that just was left out in Section 3. It says Parks and Commission. That needs to be Parks and Arts Commission.
Yeah, we're aware. Thank you so much. Excuse me, what was the paragraph that it was?
It was Section 3. That's all it was at the top of the page.
Just Parks and Commission, it should say Parks and Art.
Parks and Art Commission.
Further discussion? Comments? Citizen comments? Any citizen comments on establishing a Parks and Arts Commission? Not hearing any? All in favor of ordinance number 245, raise your right hand. About 7 out of 7, that's right. It's adopted. Okay.
So November 7th is our next council meeting. It is also election night, so we do have a somewhat long meeting. So we have Christian Brothers to be recognized as under our business highlight. We have the presentation of the Harvard Road design presentation. Amanda is going to make the third quarter report on building and permit activity. We have approved a task order for Orchard Park that's consistent with what Councilmember Seeger's presentation last time. We have this public hearing on the budget and the property tax, and then the second read ordinance on the property tax.
Okay, real quick. I'd like to get together with you next week. I'm going to be out of town for business on the East Coast for that meeting. And of course, they're all meetings to miss. So I'd like to call in for it, but I know the video, it's hard to see the screen last time. So if there's any slides with the presentations for Harvard Road, if you could send it to me, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And just so you know, I don't believe, Andrew, that you're not going to be asked to make any decisions.
Right.
It's just processing and receiving the information.
It's just a lot easier to hear it, and not try to navigate it.
It's very informational.
It's going to be informational.
We're back to citizen comments. So the citizen comment. Come on.
Hi everybody, I'm Mark Saba. I live on 1221 North Melbourne. The Jack Link's house that gives away jerky at Halloween on Mark's house. At the last meeting, and I agreed with, I can't remember what council person said, was talking about the school zone, okay? Putting up a flasher lights instead of having a sign that says when children are present. I go by Shadle Park High School twice a week. And they have a sign that says 20 miles an hour between school hours. And they have set hours, 7:30 to 3:30. And I gotta tell you, that works. You know, if you're looking at something, you know, that's not as expensive, it's just changing out a sign, it's just a thought. I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. That's a great place to start. Stephen, take care. Other comments? Not hearing any? Then we're out of here.